Hello and welcome. I'm Tafarag Adamu. My guest, Rhonda Sand, has been organizing travels to Ethiopia since 1994. The pandemic, as well as the war that followed, came in between. But now she and her colleagues are back and looking forward. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You've been in and out of Ethiopia since 1994?
I believe 1994, yes.
And how many times? Do you remember?
Over 20.
Well, statistically, that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Over 20 trips.
Yeah.
So you bring you're a tour operator, so you bring a group of how many at any given time?
Oh, anywhere between about 16 and I think the largest being about 45.
So age-wise, they would be?
I would say the average age is probably 63 to 70 years old, but we do get some young that come with us.
Why do they want to travel to Ethiopia?
Well, these are faithful people, and Ethiopia has a rich Christian and Hebrew, they have deep Christian and Hebrew roots. There's a lot of Jewish history that's here from the times of the Queen of Sheba and the church. And so they want to come here and understand how it is that your traditions have remained intact over these many centuries. So they like to come and they like to see the evidence archaeologically and then participate and see them reenact the belief system and just get to know the people and the culture. But it's all from a faith standpoint.
So that means your focus would be northern Ethiopia? Largely?
We come into Addis and we have gone into the Lake District when we have extra time if we're going to do an extension and see some of the beautiful lakes down there. But primarily our focus has been on Axum, Lalibela, Gondar, Bahadar, and Geralta. Those are our primary areas of focus.
So how many days do you normally spend?
We're usually in the country anywhere from about 7 days up to 11 days, just depending on the actual teaching pastor's focus. A lot of times we allow a teaching pastor to add elements to it that are important to him.
So this is something else?
This is called faith-based tourism, which is a very huge market. As a matter of fact, Israel has been doing faith-based tourism for many, many years and does it very, very successfully. This would be a smaller startup version of what's been going on in Israel.
So what it means your pastors are at work while they're traveling here?
They're teaching. They're teaching while they're here.
Who would they be reaching out to in large measure?
Generally, they're people that are a little bit older, well-traveled. They've been to Israel. Maybe they've been to Jordan. They've done a Footsteps of Paul itinerary, which is the New Testament route that goes between Greece, Italy, Turkey, and Malta. Maybe they've done those trips, and now they are ready to stretch out and find a new destination. And Ethiopia...
And who would be they reaching out to in Ethiopia when they do this?
Well, when they're here in Ethiopia, they are teaching amongst the group that is here. So if they have a group of 30 people, then what they're doing while they're here is they're focusing on the traditions that we're seeing that the Ethiopians still honor today, that they have done for centuries, that actually have Jewish or Hebraic roots. Today, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is maintaining those practices in Lalibela, Axum, Geralta, etc. And so they're actually seeing it in action, and then we can take the Bible, the scripture, and then so the Bible teachers are teaching from the Bible what they're witnessing your priests and your worshipers doing. We're able to see them in action doing what the Bible says that we're to do.
So what you're saying is Ethiopia is unique.
Very unique.
As a destination along that line.
More so than any other faith-based destination.
Could you explain?
So today, because of your family focus and how the church is still very active in Axum, in Lalibela, in Geralta, and in places like, not so much Gondar, but some of the outer places. The church is very active in everybody's lives still. You know, the church is an important aspect of educating the children in daily life. And so, therefore, in other countries, the world has moved forward. They've left a lot of their traditions behind, but the heritage in Ethiopia is still alive today. And that is the most precious thing about coming here, and that's why people want to come here.
Also nostalgia, can that be explained as nostalgia, something that you have left behind years back?
We have a hunger. These people, you know, in the Bible tells us that God says to us, if you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me. And so they come here seeking God, and they find him. They find him active and alive in the lives of these Ethiopian worshipers that they get to see at Timket and various places.
Oh, yeah. So are you looking for something that you think you've lost or something that you never had? What is it?
I think they just want to see the Bible alive, that the Old Testament and the New Testament is alive and active. And when you come to these places, the Bible is alive and active in Ethiopia. We're seeing it still. Maybe not so much in Addis, right? Because it's a busy place, everybody has a smartphone. But when you get out, you actually see today the same thing that's written in the Bible, in the Old and New Testament, they are still using it today. The book of Psalms are still sung today, but in Ge'ez, not in our language, but they are still practicing it today.
So what
have cantors that are talked about in the Bible today. Our churches don't have that.
Have things changed in the last, 28 years you've been in and out of Ethiopia in terms of those destinations that you're talking about?
I haven't been there in 3 years, so we'll see once I revisit in 3 years. But previous to that, when we would go down there, we would see the same things that we had seen for all of those years. Yes.
So you had 3 years ago, because of COVID, your travel plans were canceled.
Right. Yeah.
As many others were.
Right. Once they created COVID, most of our travelers who were not vaccinated, they would not travel because being vaccinated was a part of the requirement for traveling. So our travel came to a stop.
So you had incurred loss? Is that a fair assessment of what happened?
Yeah.
Can you explain to me what?
Well, but God is faithful, so I'm here today. So, we had to scale back greatly during that time of no travel, and quite frankly, we thought that we would never travel again. But then God opened up some new things, and so we were able to take the time to start up again. So we are completely restarted now, and so we're operating. Mm-hmm.
So when you say that, what do you mean? Are you going to kickstart your travel plans to Ethiopia anytime soon?
Kickstart more tours to Ethiopia. Mm-hmm. That's why we're here.
When are you planning to bring tourists to Ethiopia?
Well, for sure, Timket next year. So for sure, we'll be probably in Axum Timket next year.
It's partly COVID and partly also the conflict, right? And but you
conflict happened after COVID, so that was just another wound. Yeah.
So we're now looking past this conflict situation. Right. What can you visualize for me what you're going to do in the years ahead? Because in order to get the tourists to Ethiopia, you need to plan at least 6 months ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. So I think the most important thing that we can do while we're here is meet other fellow entrepreneurs that have an interest in the same thing that we're interested in, and they can see the value of putting energy into the community of Axum financially to help the hotels get restored, to help some of the infrastructure get restored. The same thing in Lalibela, the same thing in Geralta and Bahadar. There's some projects there that may just need somebody to come alongside. Somebody who has a vision for tourism, really, 1 or 2 people can make a huge difference to bring, 10 or 15 tours next year to be successful as a kickstart.
This is not going to be easy, right?
No, it won't be easy the first few years.
Because you need to reach across the board to a number of, actors.
Well, usually what happens is there's some forerunners that come forth as far as our particular travelers. We have a mailing list, and we may only get a group of 15 or 20 or 25 people, and we just explain to them in detail in advance that we're going into an area that's been, it's been decimated in specific areas. And so they have specific expectations that things may not be perfect. This is going to be something we're going to be first. We're going to go in and we're going to be experiencing some things. But you had also asked me a question about it would be difficult to get the actors to come alongside what is needed in Axum or in Lalibela, et cetera, Geralta. But quite frankly, we can look outside of the tourism industry because entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs can see opportunity where others can't. And so, like, for example, in Saudi Arabia right now, which we've opened up, we're dealing with someone who was a fireman. It was a fireman. He had no knowledge of tourism at all, but he could see the opportunity. So there are people out there that have earned, interestingly, they've done quite well in this environment for other reasons. Maybe they're selling masks, maybe they've made, become profitable due to some of the COVID situations that have taken place. So they do have the finance, and maybe they would be the ones that would be interested to go down and kickstart a community, come alongside a hotel that needs refurbished, or come alongside a souvenir aspect that could be refurbished. So there are people out there that have done well in the COVID environment that could partner.
So that has to, in your opinion, it has to start now? Unless it has started already?
The opportunity, right? Now is the opportunity, especially to prepare for next year. The people in all of these communities would love to see tourism come back. I mean, we need to support them. We need to keep this alive because it's a treasure. It's a treasure in this country that we can't let it go away. We have to help them keep it established. I mean, there could be damage to some of these precious, precious churches. The other thing that's very critical here in Ethiopia is the fact that you have biblical manuscripts and biblical ancient books that are a treasure here. And even these precious little churches, may have suffered greatly due to COVID. So there is so much here that can be utilized to increase tourism revenue into these areas outside of taking governmental money.
So entrepreneurship is a key word here.
Yeah, I do believe that's the key. Outside of the government. Entrepreneurs can make almost anything happen. I mean, God tells us that, if you can vision it, you can do it, right? And so, no doubt, if there are people that are listening to this interview, if they were to take a trip to be bold, take a trip, go down to Axum, go out to Geralta, go to Lalibela, walk around and just look at the opportunity. I think you're going to be amazed at what's in your own country.
Have you made a difference along that line in your experience in the last 29 years of your travels to Ethiopia?
I think so. And I mean, we share a mutual friend. His name was Miskana Gananu, and Miskana taught me so much. I'd known him since he was younger. And here he was the first time I met him, he had dreadlocks, and the only thing he had going for him was he was he spoke multiple languages and things. And so I think he was a trained electrical engineer, but he could see the vision for being an entrepreneur in tourism. And so he was able to build a beautiful new hotel in Gondar, which, due to this, maybe might not be open now. And the same thing in Lake Tana.
I guess it is.
He has a strong name, and he was a forerunner, and he was able to do it. He was a very young man. He was a very young man with no assets. He was able to do it. He was able to do it, and he wasn't trained. He didn't have any government funding. He was just himself pushing forward. And so those are the type of people that can make a change in these communities for tourism.
You just don't need one or two, you need plenty, right? How would you make that happen?
Community, or even coming together. There are some that maybe have tried to start, and then they've suffered over the past couple of years. So maybe just people coming alongside these people who already are well aware where the investment, or where they could use a hand up and join partnership with them in some way. But a lot of the infrastructure is there, but it may need to be renovated.
In your travels to Ethiopia as a tour operator, you also ended up adopting
two siblings. two siblings, and they're in the United States today, and now they've made me a grandmother. And so, and we have Ethiopian family here, is what we call it. So my children's extended family is here. We stay in contact with them. And I have clients, while they were traveling on our tours, have walked by orphanages and stepped in and found out about needs. And now our clients have actually adopted children as well. So it's not just myself.
It's not going to be as easy as it was for you years back.
Right. I think things have...
Because the regulations have changed, right?
Yeah, and rightfully some of them needed to change. I would say that, because some of the things that have come out now about some of the adoption agencies were not good. But, you know, all in timing and all with the right partners, I mean, some things may happen. But
so it's interesting you raise that, because it's not necessarily because of the malpractice that you see quite often among these adoption agencies that are based in Ethiopia, that are basically Ethiopian, but also it's got to do something with the adoptive parents as well.
That is correct. That's what happened. There was some deception there, I believe, and that's what came out, and unfortunately, but hopefully, as we all become wiser and are well aware of our enemy, then we can restart again.
It worked out well for you.
Yeah.
You have raised quite a family now, and I know some other adoptive parents from your part of the world who've done very well too. But do you think, considering what I've raised earlier, do you think that adoption is the way out, particularly international adoption? Wouldn't it be feasible enough for you guys to support families here? There is a concept, the notion of the extended family in Ethiopia, that those kids who've lost their parents could be taken care of.
Yeah, I think that would be a beautiful plan, because if the right opportunity came, that Americans with the finance to partner with Ethiopian families, I'm sure that the money would come in order to do so, because it's not a money issue, it's a heart issue. There's enough money in the world to do anything. It's really the heart. And I think the more people that we can get here and expose them to what's going on here, and this is what's been happening with my tour business. Our particular clients, we have so many comments. When people come here, they fall in love with the people and the culture and their hearts, and they want to know how I can help. Can I adopt children? Can I put in a water well? Can I put in a school? Can I help put in a business operation? What is it that you need? And so a lot of our clients have actually come alongside people and actually financed all of those things. So yes, they are willing to do it, and what that looks like in the future, that I don't know.
But that's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, because that's what our guests are about. They're coming, and they're, in the Bible it says, I think it's Elijah, he said, Lord, send me to be your hands and your feet for your children. So when our guests come here, they're coming with that attitude. You've sent me, now you show me what you want me to do. And that's why they've been very generous.
Would they be shown this is the right thing to do, help families within Ethiopia rather than picking their kids out?
And they have. So that's why we have various people who have adopted, and they have invested. And
support families here to raise their kids.
Some corruption, quite frankly, because we didn't have the oversight in order to do it, but it doesn't matter. At least we were able to help some.
You've been to Saudi Arabia. You are, as I can see, a devout Christian, evangelical Christian, that matter, who penetrates the travel market, if you will. Mount Sinai, now you claim, is in Saudi Arabia, and you're penetrating a classically Wahhabist territory.
Yes.
How did you make it?
I believe 9 times, and we've taken, I can't remember how many groups.
Since 2018, right?
7 or 8 groups, 7 or 8 groups, and we just finished 3 2 days ago to Saudi Arabia. Now I know we have at least 4 more here in the fall. So again, what it took was going, seeing the opportunity. I met a fireman who had no experience. I shared with him my vision. We came alongside and we started building this together, okay? And so that's all it took. And so now we have probably the most successful tour operation doing Mount Sinai.
To the base of Mount Sinai.
We're retracing the Exodus route that went from the Red Sea crossing site through Saudi Arabia and up through Jordan into Israel. But the exciting news is that we see a real link to Ethiopia through all of this. And that's what is so exciting for me, because having spent much of my life devoted to understanding.
The link would be?
The link, and that would be the early Jews that were here in Ethiopia, and that would be the link.
And what do you see at this site that you've just come from in Saudi Arabia?
Well, that there is Sabaean and Thamudic languages that are written on the Exodus route that originated in Ethiopia.
Wow. That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It's exciting.
Well, good luck with that connection, and thank you very much indeed, Rhonda. It was really a pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you for having me.